Hello students, it's grade 5, block 15, your English textbook, Friends at the Sea Escape by Mary Silva Turner. This is a science fiction. Students, this lesson is related with science. See here. Sea के अंदर कैसा होता है? ये देखिए, ये फिश है. तो आइए देखते हैं ये लेसन. My grandmother died on the day I was born, so I don't remember. My grandfather died on the day I was born, so I don't remember him at all. He was a scientist studying climate change. Although my grandfather was studying the climate change, he died Although my grandfather was studying the climate change, he died from one of its effects. The rest of my family was at the hospital waiting for me to be born. My grandfather got caught in the storm. He never made it. In that one day, my birth and the death of my grandfather changed my father's life forever. He wanted to keep me safe. Strangely, he turned to the very thing that had killed his own father, the ocean. अब मैं जिस दिन बॉर्न हुआ उसी दिन मेरे ग्रैंडफादर की डेथ थी. एक्चुअली वो क्या थे, वो स्टडी करते थे क्लाइमेट चेंज की, और उसी के एक वजह के कारण उनकी मौत हो गई. सो हियर आई एम हैविंग अ starring contest with an orange and white fish in my drawing room. I live in a colony called the Sea Escape. Most of the residents here are scientists, farmers or miners. The population in the colony grows every year as the amount of dry land shrinks. It never gets more exciting though. Fish can manage staring contests, but they aren't very good for conversation. देखिए, वो जहाँ पर रहता है, जिस कॉलोनी में रहता है, उसका नाम द सी एस्केप है. I opened the door of my drawing room and walked down the corridor to our school dorm. There was only one class of students and most weren't even my age. Our teacher had us working on different projects on our habit. Our teacher had us working on different projects on our tablets. I liked my project, but my partner Nilesh was one of the most annoying boys on land or under the sea. I pulled out my tablet and sat down. Nilesh sat next to me and pulled the tablet. from my hands. I was furious but decided to ignore him. I tried to focus on what the teacher was saying, but all I could think about was escaping the sea escape tonight and meeting my friends. Suddenly I heard my name, Tara Len. Can we get our heads back to the sea now and begin our project? Nilesh laughed and whispered, "Yay, Tara, back to the sea. Whatever, it doesn't even make sense." इस तरीके से I suited up to go out into the sea. Normally, the instructors don't allow children to be out on their own, but I had been here a long time. They allowed me to go out as long as they can see me. I went out of the hatch into the cold water. Immediately, I felt a nudge. Nudge means gentle push. I flipped around, but there was nothing there. Again, there was the nudge. I turned even faster this time. Again, nothing. Finally, I spoke. "Come on, Jay-Z, stop it. I want to talk." My equipment translated it into a bunch of whistles and buzzes. And just like that, I was riding on the back of the dolphin friend, Jay-Z. I spilled big laughter, and so did he. Finally, he stopped and I caught my breath. He backed up and flapped his flippers. That meant that he wanted to know what the problem was. I said, "It's that boy at school again. He took my tablet and would not give it back." Jay-Z laughed and did a flip in the water. The computer translated, "He wants steal your food so he slap you." I was confused for a second. Then I realized that he meant he stole our tablet so that he can get to know you. The translator didn't always work very well. Although dolphins can speak, they get bored with it quickly. Jay-Z kicked up a bunch of dirt on the bottom of sea floor and started a game of hide and seek. Later that night, my dad walked into my bedroom room. I stopped my homework to look at him. "I heard you were out with the dolphins again. I am getting a little worried about you." "Dad, I have fun with them," I protested. "They are really smart, much smarter than everyone thinks. I can actually have conversations with them." Dad raised an eyebrow. "What about that boy in your class, Nilesh? He is your age." "Dad, I would rather be friends with a sea slug." Slug means snail. Dad sighed. "Fine, maybe when I connect our colony with Down Deep, you will find a new friend there." I shrugged and he left the room. Shrugged means move shoulder to ignore. My dad is a developer. He builds these domes. Even though the land is overcrowded, people don't want to live down here because it is only lonely and boring. I didn't blame them. Connecting the domes, however, would bring more people together. More people could make it less lonely and more interesting. At least that's what my dad and other developers hope. The next day went as normal. The school project was interesting and Nilesh called me names. Just as we were waiting for the bell to ring, the siren went off. The siren usually meant that there had been an accident. देखिए आपको इस पिक्चर में दिखाया है. Nilesh ran up and checked the interactive map on the wall. He called me over, and for once he didn't sound annoying. He looked at me very seriously. His finger was on the site of the accident. It was the construction site of the new dome. I felt a hard burning feeling in my stomach. My dad was out there. The teacher pushed the button on her desk and tried to connect to the construction site. There was no response. I ran out of the class dome. My teacher yelled for me to wait, but I didn't listen. It was only when I reached the recreation dome that I realized that Nilesh was behind me. "What do you want?" I yelled in his face. "Calm down," he said, putting his hands up. "If there is no response from there, they will have to send water bikes. The bikes might not get there in time because the construction site is too far. I just want to help, and you obviously have a plan." It was so like him to speak for half an hour when one sentence was enough. "Fine, put on your suit," I said. JC seemed a little nervous when I showed up with Nilesh, but he greeted me anyway. All I said was, "That accident? What happened?" JC knew where. देखिए इस पिक्चर में आपको दिखाया है कि वो किस तरह से पानी में आ रहे हैं दोनों. JC knew where the construction site was. All the dolphins knew. He swam off a little way and sent out a series of clicks and vibrations into the water. The other dolphins understood the message and passed it on the others along the way. After a few minutes, JC turned towards me and tripped through the translator. There was a rockfall. People under the rocks don't know where to. Nilesh said, "I can use the satellite radar. Keep your communicator on and I will tell you where to find them." Nilesh went back inside as I waited impatiently. Finally, I heard his voice through the communicator. "There is one person under a 20-foot cliff. Will you be able to translate that to the dolphins?" I spoke into the translator and Jesse passed on the message to the other dolphins. Nilesh told me the location of all the people he could see through the radar. I translated it to Jesse, who passed on the message. The message was received by a pod of dolphins near the accident site. One by one, they found the people stuck under the rocks and pulled them out. Finally, Nilesh told me that the water bikes were back from the site. I went back into the recreation dome. I could see JC waiting and watching me from outside. As I entered the dome, Nilesh held up my tablet, grinning. It was my father's face. He looked tired but happy. After the explosion, we were trapped in the rubble and there wasn't enough air. Rubble means broken pieces of stones. And there wasn't enough air. I thought it was going to be the end, he explained. But then the dolphins came. It was like magic. They worked together to pull us all about. We owe them our lives. That cold, hard feeling in my stomach turned into laughter. I just couldn't stop laughing. I turned to JC. He was dancing in the water. Nilesh looked at JC and me and started to laugh too. Maybe he wasn't the worst boy on land or under the sea after all. तो इस तरीके से ये लेसन है. अभी ये लेसन में आपको दिखाया है कि किस तरीके से जेसी और उसके जो फ्रेंड थे नीलेश, वो सी के अंदर गए और उन्होंने सी के अंदर जाके डॉल्फिन से ट्रांसलेटर से बात करके उन्होंने अपना काम किया. So till our next video, goodbye.